All right. Welcome to another episode of Can You Hear Me podcast where I talk and see where it gets me. Today we're talking about healing, but let's address the elephant, okay? The last episode was very vulnerable, very emotional for me. I was releasing a lot. The solar eclipse went crazy if you want to get astrological. And that's pretty much it. That's emotions. If you have a problem with it, click off. That was very aggressive. My apologies. But yeah, so today I posted a video. It should be live by the time this podcast is live. That was talking about my healing journey, and I kind of wanted to get into that a little bit just because everybody heals, and that's kind of the point of life. But I kind of wanted to get into what the topic of the video was specifically, which was that my healing journey changed in definition by the end of it. So at the beginning, it was more love-based and more interpersonal, I'd say. It was more me getting over my fear of people and talking to people, loving people, being intimate with people in different ways. And I learned how to do that. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to be confident in myself. I learned how to where my insecurities were when dealing with people interpersonally, and was pretty much able to get my confidence back up, and I can confidently say that. I also had to realize that it wasn't all people. That was the main gist of it, is that not all people want to hurt you. There are a lot that want to hurt you, or not want to hurt you. There are a lot that will hurt you regardless. But it's not all people, and there's no use in being a neurotic little squirrel who doesn't talk to anybody. It's not an insult. It's just how my mind was working at the time. So the interesting thing about that is that in that time, I got to know a lot of people, and I had to, okay, I'll be blunt. The reason that I started my healing journey, quote unquote, was because of a breakup. And the reason that the breakup was so hard for me was because, well, me specifically, was because it was for a lot of reasons, but I didn't think I could create those memories or that feeling with anybody else. That was the first half of the journey, and that was pretty much the gist of everything for a while, was that it felt like when I met new people and I got to know new people, we ended up going to the same places or having the same experiences that I did with my ex. And I didn't understand it at first. I was like, why am I being drawn to these same places again? But I think the idea of that, or what I'm taking out of it at this point, is that it's not impossible to have those memories again. It's not impossible to have those feelings for somebody again. It's not impossible to have that love for somebody again. It's not unfathomable. And it's something that I forget about, I think, because this happened with my breakup before as well, is that I had to branch out and meet other people to remind myself, hey, he's not the only person that exists in this world. And I think I was good at telling myself that, but I didn't fully grasp it in my mind, which is hard. It's hard to grasp it until you literally put yourself through it, right? So that's what I learned from that part. And then something happened where the mindset reset, and I had to start all over again. And healing was now back in the question. But those people that I had made memories with, I talked to them. They're still here. It's just I didn't want to have those memories again. And I couldn't figure out why. And it was just too painful. That's what it was. But what I realized in the past week, let me tell you how I realized it. We're going to set it up cinematically, okay? So I have a dear friend. We talked about this dear friend in the first episode. Hello, if you're listening. And he told me that he goes on intuition walks. And I thought this was an amazing idea. I never told him how amazing this idea was, but he goes on intuition walks, and he basically goes on the route that's the easiest, quote unquote. So if he's going on a walk in a busy city and there's, say, stoplights, whichever one is green, that's the one he follows. Whichever one is the easiest route to go, that's how he tests his intuition. So I did that this past week. I went to drive around for a little bit, and I just wanted to be in nature, so I was putting down my windows. I was on Spotify. There was a song that I was listening to, and I just let the radio and let Spotify choose what the next songs were, and I just listened to them with my windows down and followed whichever route was easiest and just went from there. So then I got the bright idea to go to the park that I used to go to with the person that made this a little bit difficult for me. And my intuition was kind of calling me there. This was also the day of the solar eclipse. Again, it was really solar eclipsing that day. Lots of emotions being released and lots of realizations that day. And lots of intuitive hits, lots of nature. I really wanted to be in nature. And I thought it was weird at first, but then my idea the whole time was that I really loved being in nature, at least at that specific time. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just go to the park. Whatever happens, happens. And another hang up was that it was dark. It was getting dark, and I was like, well, is this a good idea? I'm a woman. But I ended up going. And when I pulled up, so before I pulled up, by the way, I'm not stupid, okay? I pulled up and I was like, okay, well, we'll see how it looks, how the environment is, what my intuition feels about me getting out of the car, and then if not, we'll just drive off, find some more shit to look at. So I did that, and I pulled up, and there was so many people there. Not only was it the night of the lunar eclipse, but it was also a Friday. And I forgot that at this specific park, it's packed on Fridays. And I believe it was Cinco de Mayo, so people were having their parties and everything. It was packed. It was crazy. So I went, and I got out, and the moon was shining, and it was... One thing I noticed about the moon on the way there was that as I was making realizations on my way there, it was coming in and out of the clouds. Like my intuition, the moon for me, however the moon shows up, shows me how my intuition is doing. The weather is a really good indicator of how my intuition is and how my mind is right now. If it's cloudy, I'm feeling clouded or foggy and everything like that. So that's basically what happened. And I went around, and I walked around, and the moon was actually getting a lot clearer and coming out of the clouds and everything. And I was just standing by this pier that they have over there. And there was this dad with his two kids, and they just started a conversation with me. And we just had a nice little conversation. He was like, well, I'll leave you to your solitude, you know? I was like, it's really nice. And I just had a lot of little... If you were to imagine a movie scene about a park and have like the best possible scene where everybody's interacting with each other and everybody's being sweet, those little things kept happening to me. It was almost cinematic. And I was alone. And I was enjoying myself so much. And as I started to walk around the park more, I realized that I wasn't necessarily... I was gravitating towards people. I was still very scared of it. And I still preferred to be alone, which I gave myself that grace, finally. And I realized that the reason that I was there, and the reason that I had drove around for hours, and the reasons I was feeling this way and feeling the need to be by myself was because I needed to remind myself that that was okay. I think the reason that I keep attracting people that want to avoid me and people that don't want to give me the time of day because they don't think I'm worth it, or they don't think I'm worth a relationship, or they don't think that I'm worth their time, pretty much, or that I deserve to be on dates, or that I deserve to have those memories. The reason I'm attracting people like that is because I feel that way about myself. Felt that way about myself. I was ignoring myself and avoiding myself because I didn't believe that I deserved it. I think what I was forgetting was that, this is another layer to it. I think what I was forgetting was that the person in the memories, whether it was my ex, whether it was anybody else that came after him, the person in my memories didn't make the memory for me. The reason I enjoyed the memory was because I enjoyed the scenery. This nature was hitting just right. The sun was right in the right place. I enjoyed those things because of my own perception. And what I was thinking to these people, even while I was with them, is I was just like, why can't this person see me for who I am? Because honestly, when I was with that person, I was projecting a very nice version of myself, a very fulfilled and happy and sweet and adorable version of myself. I was like, why can't they see it? And the crazy thing is I could see it because I was wanting them to see it so bad. But then I also couldn't have seen it that well because I was still begging for their attention and I was still avoiding myself. Those are the realizations I came to while I was at that park, because I was like, well, if I'm so great, why don't I just spend time with myself until I can find someone who sees me exactly like how I see myself? I'm okay with that. And I think that was so scary to me at first. I think that was so nerve-wracking to me at first, and I thought it was because of my anxiety. I thought it was because I couldn't be alone with my thoughts, but no, it was just my self-worth. I just didn't see myself as dateable to myself or to anybody else for other reasons involving other people, but I did end up bullying myself. It wasn't that. I think another debate I was having for so long was like, okay, am I treating these people shitty? Because, you know, they say you attract what you are, or you attract mirrors to you. And what I was so afraid of was that I was treating these people shitty, so I would just treat them as good as possible. And I was so confused, and I was like, well, how is this person a mirror to me? They mirror how I treat myself, how I talk to myself. So it's not like it's a back and forth mirror where they're treating me a certain way and I'm treating them a certain way. They're treating me a certain way and I'm treating myself that same way. So it's like 2 against 1. So no wonder I feel like shit all the time. No wonder I felt like shit all the time. Felt, by the way. Listen, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves to think of themselves like how I was thinking of myself in the last podcast. Nobody deserves to be neurotic like that. Nobody deserves to think about themselves in interactions like that. Nobody deserves to feel like that, especially not fucking me. That's what my healing journey ended up being, pretty much. It's just a lot of realizations. It's just, I know exactly what was holding me back. I know exactly why I was thinking I deserved these types of people, or I was attracted to these types of people, is because, you know, I don't know much else. Romantically, I'm going to say. I don't know much else. And I learned to bully myself. So, honestly, this is shorter than the last one, but I think I got a lot of points across. So, I'm going to end this here. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.